Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another UFC fight prediction video. In this video, I'll be predicting the full card of fights for UFC Fight Night, Dern versus Rodriguez. So without further ado, let's get to our first fight on the card. So in our first fight, we have in the lightweight division, Charlie Ontiveros versus Steve Garcia. And how I see this one right here between these two is one look at Ontiveros, I just see a guy that doesn't really have the best skills, got a like okay striking. He's long, he's lanky. Now he's cutting down to 155 where he'll be even longer, even lankier. But it's this guy cutting a lot of weight, draining himself further, and just doesn't have the skill. Like I feel like he should be, kind of take a step down. I mean, this is a step down in competition from Kevin Holland, like a huge step down in weight class. I mean, I think he really for that 170 came in on short notice to fight Kevin Holland at 185, and now he's cutting down even lower to 155. But either way, he cut it down to this weight class, and drains him a little bit more, but probably getting a little bit size. But it's not the fact that I don't think size is his biggest issue. He's already long, and he'd be long for middleweight, he'd be long for welterweight, he'd be long for lightweight. So it's not lengthening. I mean, lengthening size is not his area of issue. It's his lack of skill. You get him out wrestled and dominated by Kevin Holland and slamming, getting your rib broken, getting injured by Kevin Holland. I think your issue is your technique. You need to work on your wrestling, you need to work on your striking, you need to work on your overall MMA game, not work on how can you cut more weight to go down to a smaller weight class and be the bigger man, because it's your skills. And that's what it's going to be. It's going to be another loss for him. I feel like Garcia is the more technical striker. I feel like he's a more technical grappler. I'm not saying I'm so high on Steve Garcia. I really don't care about Steve Garcia, to be honest. It's more of a fact that Ontiveros, I see a guy that not that sharp. And I feel like he needs to work more on skills than instead of working on cutting weight or cutting more weight. And I talk real fast right there, but yeah, I just feel like Ontiveros is just not making the right decision in this one. I feel like he'll be more drained out. The takedown's gonna be easier to score. You're going down to a more technical weight class. I'm not saying he's a more technical opponent, but you're going down to a faster, smaller weight class where the technical skills is at a higher level. This is probably like the most toughest division in the UFC, maybe even in the sport. So, and all I say, I'm not saying Garcia is anybody to really write home about or give extra thought about, but going against Ontiveros, I feel like Garcia is just a more polished fighter, will be the more fresher fighter. It will be to score takedowns, control Ontiveros, and probably beat him to a clear-cut decision. So in this one, I have Steve Garcia via decision. Now to our next fight, we have in the women's strawweight division, Lupita Godinez versus Silvana Gomez Juarez. Sorry about that. I'm not going to edit out. I'm going to be honest, I was about to burp right there mid-talking. But yeah, no edit, straight to the point. But Lupita Godinez versus Silvana Gomez Juarez. How I see this one right here is Silvana Gomez Juarez is a pretty solid striker. I would say she's a more technical striker. She got some real heavy leg kicks, be chopping her opponent's legs out, be kicking their legs, like, it's kicking them right off their feet with her leg kicks, like very heavy leg kicks, very sharp striking. Grappling, haven't seen as much of it. I think she's not no slouch in the grappling, but it's not like I definitely would probably lean that Lupita Godinez. Definitely would lean the wrestling to Lupita Godinez. Definitely, lean the experience. Gomez got twice as much experience as Godinez, but as far as like at the UFC level, Godinez got the experience there, and also at competition level, Godinez got the experience there. I feel like Juarez, like I said, is the better striker, but I feel like Godinez is the better mixed martial artist. Now I feel like where Juarez has technique, Godinez has that dog in her, and she'll put up volume and she'll put up pressure. And she'll look to mix in the takedown. And I feel like Gomez Juarez will look good for maybe the first round, but I feel like Godinez's pace, pressure, takedowns will eventually start to wear down on Juarez. And I start really see Godinez take it away from like in the second and take it away in the third and get that decision victory. So maybe a good early start for Juarez, but eventually that pace and pressure and wrestling, slams and stuff will start to wear on Juarez, and Godinez will be able to get her hand raised. So in this one, I have Lupita Godinez via decision. Now to our next fight, we have in the featherweight division, Charles Rosa versus Damon Jackson. And I see this one right here. So when I look at these two, I can see a lot of people like seeing parallels to the Derek Minor fight, but I don't see it exactly the same. I don't think Damon Jackson's offensive takedown is all that great, and I also don't think that his takedown offense is all that great. And I don't think he's much of a striking threat. I'm not saying Charles Rosa is such a great striker either, but Charles Rosa, I definitely think is the more fleshed out striker. Alex has a striking game to him, whereas Jackson is really looking for the submission in most cases. Haven't really seen him put up much of a show up on any striking. Anytime a fight is striking too long, you're pretty much saying Damon Jackson getting picked apart, getting chewed up.
And I feel like Charles Rosa has worked on his takedown defense a little bit. I'm not saying it's going to be all that a good degree that's going to change the overall trajectory of his career, but it'll be enough to beat Damon Jackson, I feel. Probably a pretty clear-cut decision. Matter of fact, that's probably a tight decision. Probably going to be one of those, like, split decisions that could go either way. I'm believing Charles Rosa, like I said, to be the more fleshed-out fighter, the more well-rounded fighter. Be the stuff Jackson's takedowns, maybe mixing the grappling. Like, he challenging with it, but not, spend too much time on his back. I feel like Jackson might get 1 or 2 takedowns, 2 max. And I'm not gonna say 1 minimum, 2 max, but I feel like 1 at the most, to be honest. That's why I'm feeling like 1 takedown from Jackson. And I feel like Rosa might mix it to the ground, take him down, just to mix it up along with the striking, get some control time in there. I'll strike him, be faster, be more fluid, probably bait low with those leg kicks and come up high a couple times, do a little karate style, whatever he likes to do, whatever he calls his style. But either way, just being the more fleshed out fight. That's as clearly as I can basically express it right now. But it's been the more fleshed out fight. It's simple as that. And I don't think Damon Jackson's offensive takedowns is that great. And I definitely don't take the offense is all that great. And I definitely don't think his striking is rated his striking all that heavily. So in this one, Charles Rosa via decision. And yeah, fumbling with these words a lot with this prediction card, or I'm talking backwards, but anywho, on to the next one. We have in the heavyweight division, Alexander Romanov versus Jared Vanderaa. So when Jared Vandera's last fight, he really showed himself to look like really got my eyes on him in that last fight. I'm gonna say all this to say all that. Alexander Romanov gonna destroy this man and put him out in the first round. I see it that way. But in his last fight, he definitely impressed me. I didn't rate his striking. Definitely didn't rate his grappling prior to that fight. But after that last fight, I definitely got to rate his striking. That man looked much, much, much improved. Or at least, I guess when he's not worrying about getting taken down, his striking looks much better. And it did look much better in that last fight. Look very clean. But going against Alexander Romanov is just a different tier of talent. And also at this given state of the heavyweight division, Alexander Romanov is very, very dangerous because a lot of these heavyweights, they just come in here like this is K1 and they refusing to do any, they refusing to put the gi on, refusing to hit the mats and do wrestling, refusing to hit the mats and do jiu-jitsu. They just refusing to touch the mat at all. They just want to go out there and knock each other's heads off and look for those performance of the night bonuses for knockouts. Like they refuse to do grappling. Like I don't know what it is with this era of heavyweights, but it's not a lot of them trying to be actual MMA fighters. They just trying to come out there. Like I can't box for real. I can't kickbox for real, but I can fight this other guy right here who can't do none of that stuff either. Let's just make an agreement where we're not going to grapple, we're not going to wrestle, we're not going to do this and stuff. We might hug against the cage at times because we both got no cardio, but we're going to swing and bang. Yeah, that's what this era, that's what a huge part of this era of heavyweights is. And now you're getting, a couple of guys that's come out and they actually still, rounding out their skill set and they running right through these guys like they butter. So, yeah, very weird era of heavyweights, but, the talent's starting to come back. And look at Romanov. I see him, one of these talents coming up, actually bringing some decency back to the heavyweight division's MMA skill set. But long as Vanderaa, I don't rate Vandera's wrestling or submission grappling or anything all that high, and I feel like it's a very big hole. He even let Spivak do it to him. No knock on Spivak, but Romanov is wrestling and grappling is just on a different tier. And if he did that to you, you'll get done worse by Romanov. And I don't think one fight in between gonna change all that what happened in the Spivak fight. He got one nice win that was a purely striking matchup in between. And now he's about to come in with a much better grappler in Romanov. I think Romanov is going to go out there, mix it up, take him down, ground and pound, get him out there in the first round. So in this fight, I have Alexander Romanov via first round TKO. Now to our next fight, we have in the bantamweight division, Chris Gutierrez versus Felipe Colares. And how I see this one right here is Colares brings some pretty high level BJJ. Striking wise is I think on the feet is just all heart. Like he's long, he's lanky. A lot of long and lanky give you advantages because you got that longer reach. You could hit people from where they can hit you, and that's about it. Like you'd be long, and it's tough to hit them because their head's on a beam pole. You gotta reach up and try to climb a ladder and touch their chin. So a lot of times that does give people advantages. But overall, technically striking, I can't really say nothing complimentary about Colares offensively. All I can say is this man got a lot of heart, been taking a lot of beatings and fights, and even his last fight took a beating, but was able to survive, get some takedowns, land some shots, and eke out a decision that probably still should have been like a draw or maybe went the other way, but I picked him in that one. He managed to eke it out, and good for him, good for me that night. But yeah, really on the feet, heart on the ground, solid, offensive takedown offensive takedown ability, not much to rate. So going against Chris Gutierrez, Gutierrez is striking just on a much different level. And if he's getting touched up like that by his last opponent, Gutierrez is gonna make him look like crash test dummy. Even though he already looks like that in a lot of his fight. That man got a lot, like I said, that man got a lot of heart. He be taking a lot of beatings, but he don't get stopped. That man be getting beat the mess out of. He be just a straight up human punching bag. Yeah, I'm going too far with it, but either way, I think Gutierrez is going to chew him up on the feet. I don't think Gutierrez got to worry too much about the ground. I feel like Gutierrez got stuff to take down. And if it goes to the ground, Gutierrez ain't going to be too worried about necessarily any position with Colares unless he just happen to fall and all of a sudden he fall on the ground and Colares automatically snap his fingers, then instantly got full back control, arm underneath the neck or something, or got an arm bar or something like that, which I'm probably going to jinx by saying all that. But unless he just gets like a picture perfect position when they fall to the mat or something, or I don't know, some picture perfect grappling situation for Colares, I feel like Gutierrez really don't got much to worry about with Colares anywhere, and that's really the only area he has to worry about with Colares. So on the feet, Gutierrez will be much faster, much sharper, much more technical. I feel like he's just going to be chopping that leg out, have him limping, ripping to the body, come up top. And I feel like he's going to be the first one to stop him inside the UFC. And I see him doing that in the second round. So in this fight, I have Chris Gutierrez via second round TKO. Now to our next fight, we have in the women's flyweight division, Maria Agapova versus Sabina Mazo. And now look at this one right here. Dang, they both got 9-2 records, mirror imaging as far as record-wise. Both strikers. We'll mix in the grappling a little bit, but not much. Would not rate their either of their grapplings too high. I think both long and lanky, but Mazo's like an inch taller, got like a 2-inch reach advantage. Mazo has a little bit more momentum at the moment. Agapova's coming off a very disappointing loss. So it's like a lot to really look at this. So it's like, who do you lean to? I feel like Mazo at times could be a little bit timid and not let her hand go as much. Agapova, there's no issue with her letting her hands go, but she lets it go too much. So like they're parallel each other in a lot of ways and they differ each other in a lot of ways. So it's like, who's gonna win? I'm ultimately gonna lean Mazo. I was looking at Agapova, but I'll say maybe she does have the grappling. When I really look at it, they're grappling around the same level. And also Lisa Mazo can get hip bumped and reversed by her last opponent. I forget the name of the opponent who beat her, but not the highest level. Oh, Shayna Dobson. She can get hit bumped by her and get mounted and pounded out. So I don't think that would happen to Mazo. Also, matter of fact, Mazo dominated Shayna Dobson. So I still don't think it's going to be kids necessarily MMA math, but it's going to be more momentum. And I feel like Mazo has the momentum at the given moment. Not a whole lot of momentum, but definitely not negative momentum like Agapova has. Agapova came in and was supposed to be like a big prospect, but that loss definitely knocked off a lot of her value. So she got a lot of recovering, a lot of image rebuilding to do. She gotta need a lot of PR work and put up a lot of these wins back and start to get consistent. But I feel like it's gonna be one where she's gonna lose. I feel like Agapova probably gonna, be kind of confused a little bit in herself with what she want to do out there. Try to mix it to the ground, but her offensive takedown, her takedown offense isn't that great. Wrestling isn't that great. She has the skills, but I feel like they're roughly kind of even for both women. So she's gonna be kind of confused whether to try to fight technical or try to fight aggressive, and also had to deal with another long, lanky opponent, a long, lanky striker like herself. So it's gonna be a lot of different things where she's not having the best confidence at this given moment. She's gonna get a fighter who's gonna have lymph over her. She can have going against another striker and not like a short, kind of stocky, over jack of all trades or just a one-dimensional wrestler who's not even a great of a wrestler. She's going against a fighter who's young like her. Matter of fact, probably younger than her. Just as technical, if not more technical on the feet, and more patient. And she's gonna try to, like I said, come in here and try to adjust and find her way through mid-fight. And that's not a great recipe. I feel like a good recipe for Agapova would have been a step down, but I don't know. Maybe she still has got some confidence to come in here, after a big loss like that and try to fight Mazo. Not to say Mazo is all this and all that, but who knows? But either way, I feel like Mazo does fight at a pretty decent pace. I feel like she could pull the trigger a little bit more and turn up the engine, hit the gas a little bit more. But she does fight at a pretty high pace, pretty consistently. Whereas Agapova, she'll press that gas from the start, and that's why she did get winded by the end of the first round. Matter of fact, before the first round ended. But I feel like she's gonna kind of fight at a slower pace, and that might actually favor Mazo a little bit. I feel like Mazo's gonna be longer, be a little bit more technical, and win a close decision between these two. So in this one, I have Sabina Mazo via decision. Now to our next fight, we have in the flyweight division, Tim Elliott versus Matheus Nicolau. And looking at this fight between Matheus Nicolau and Tim Elliott, I feel like Tim Elliott definitely presents some good at wrestling. He does some improving striking, improving boxing. But I just feel like Matheus Nicolau is the more polished striker and the more composed fighter. Tim Elliott is very sporadic, gonna be looking for the takedown a lot, fighting from weird angles and throwing weird shots, leaving himself open to a lot of different things. Because just trying to be awkward and make awkward angles and do awkward strikes and that's just his style. I feel like Matheus Nicolau gonna make him pay for it. I feel like Matheus Nicolau got pretty solid BJJ, decent wrestling defense. Should be able to address the wrestling of Elliott and threaten with submissions. Then on the feet, I feel like he'll be able to take advantage of the awkwardness of Tim Elliott. Tim Elliott is leaning, catching with hooks, catching with uppercuts, go to his body, and just really mix it up and touch Elliott up. I don't think he stops him, but I do think he beats him to a clear decision. So in this one, I have Matheus Nicolau via decision. Now to our co-main event, we have in the welterweight division, Randy Brown versus Jared Gooden. And now I see what's right here. So Randy Brown's the longer, lankier striker. Gooden's the more compact fighter, like got some power in him. Definitely have seen some stiffness in him, but I feel like that stiffness is kind of going away a little bit. So he getting him a little bit more fluid with his striking. But I still think Randy Brown is much more fluid with his strikes. I think he's a more technical striker, got more arsenal. Like I said, we'll have that height, we'll have that reach. And I think he'll just be able to be the more fleshed out striker. Also, I think his grappling is better than Gooden's. But Gooden's has some pretty solid takedown defense. But I feel like Randy Brown can catch him guard. Gooden won't be expecting that as much, even though Randy Brown's kind of piling up some submission victories low key right now. He's kind of piling up some. So he'll probably be able to mix it in there. Gooden might expect it to an extent, but it's not going to be the case that Randy Brown's main goal is going to be to take him down. I feel like if Gooden tries to over pressure or try to come in and aggressively, he might clinch him up and then look for the takedown. But for the most part, I feel like Randy Brown's just going to mix it in there just to keep him honest, I guess. Just mix in there, give him a different look, score some points, and control the momentum. Like if momentum's going one way, or even if he does have the momentum and is carrying the fight, that's just another thing to discourage his opponent in Gooden. But again, I feel like Gooden has the power, but I feel like Randy Brown has the height, the reach, the speed, the technique, and the length and all that. So I just feel like it's going to be a case where Randy Brown's going to be the more fluid striker, using clean, slick footwork, clean, smart footwork as well. Whether he's going forward, backwards, laterally, just stand ahead and dictating the pace of the fight. Gooden might try to be the pressing fighter, but Randy Brown will be the one leading the dance. Like I said, no matter what direction he's going, he'll be one leading the dance, using that reach, using that length, walking Gooden into shots, walking the counters, landing his own kicks, filling Gooden up, then setting him up for other shots. Whereas Gooden's gonna be looking for the big shots and not really be the landing flush. And I see Randy Brown getting his hand raised in a decision. So in this fight, I have Randy Brown via decision. Now to our main event, we have in the women's strawweight division, Marina Rodriguez versus Mackenzie Dern. And I see this one right here. So you can't get, I said don't stop till you get enough, but I don't know. I'm getting all tongue-tied on this video for no reason, but again, ain't editing this. Well, I'm editing, but I'm not editing this audio. It's going to be what it is, but can't get up off the ground, Rodriguez, versus can't get a takedown, Dern. So a person who got questionable grappling and questionable takedown defense versus, she showed decent against Michelle Waters, and Michelle Waters' takedown offense has never been all that great, and she's kind of tiny for the weight class. Yeah, so can't get up off the ground versus can't get it to the ground, Dern. So striking without doubt will give it to Rodriguez. Grappling without doubt will give it to Dern. So like a striker versus grappler matchup. Rodriguez says, "Oh, I trained this, I trained that." And at open workouts, you'll see her doing some jiu-jitsu and stuff. But when it comes to Kay, like you look at the Cynthia Calvillo fight, she did all that stuff before the fight, and then Calvillo was able to take her down and control her. Oh, then look at the Carlos Esparza fight. Carlos Esparza like 9 feet tall. Carlos Esparza like 9-inch tall. She's like 2 feet tall. Was able to take her down. Very undersized for the weight class, tiny. Was able to take her big self down repeatedly, even after taking damage, even tired, able to score takedowns at will against her, basically. So, Rodriguez's takedown defense is very questionable. And in a 5-round fight, it's kind of coming down to you could say, Rodriguez is the more well-rounded fighter, to be honest, not by a whole lot, because her grappling definitely got questionable, but Dern's striking, you can't really rate it at all. So she's the more well-rounded fighter. she's should be able to pick apart Dern on the feet and stop her. But when I look at her record, she only has one knockdown, and she has 2 knockdowns and like one TKO, like 1 or 2 TKO stops. Matter of fact, maybe 1 TKO. I'm not gonna go too deep in it. Like, well, I'm not gonna keep looking it up, but I know it's less than 3 in the side of the UFC. So she's not such a great finisher. That's one thing. She did get that one finish over the person Amanda Ribas, who did beat Dern. But also got factored. I think that was after Dern, fresh after Dern had a kid. So, and I'm not even going to say that outright Ribas, but you can't really underwrite Dern is what I'm saying. And I feel like Rodriguez gives up too many takedowns, gives up too many positions, and at least in fights, she's gonna at least give up one opportunity, and she can't afford to give up that opportunity. So if she's not a consistent finisher, that's a concern. So I'm gonna have to lean Dern. Like, she's not a consistent finisher. I think she got 1 or 2 finishes inside the UFC. She definitely got one over Ribas. Another one I don't think was a finish. She got a drop, but she was able to finish her opponent. So like literally like one finish inside the UFC. Couple, I think like a draw, some other fights, but yeah. The biggest thing that comes, like, she's definitely dangerous on the feet. She definitely can pick her apart. Definitely will pick Dern apart on the feet if it's on the feet too long. But I don't see her putting her away. Dern got a tough chin on her. She's very durable, very tough. So I don't see her putting Dern away. And it's also like, on top of Rodriguez not being a finisher, Dern is tough. So it kind of be hard to put her away, even on the feet for a period of time. And I feel like Dern is definitely, getting, even though we might not see it or might not acknowledge it as much, Dern is getting better low key. I don't feel like Rodriguez is necessarily getting better. Like, you could say the Waters fight or grappling looked a little bit better, but it didn't look all that much better, to be honest. It just was not as tested as much, and it wasn't against somebody who could truly test her. So, and you could say the same for Dern to the extent, but again, it comes down to the fact Rodriguez is not really a finisher. Dern is tough and durable, and Rodriguez gives up takedowns. Going to give up at least one takedown in the fight, and that's all it's going to take. He gets her to the ground, Dern will tap her out. And I feel like that probably will materialize around, I'm going to say the second round. No, in fact, I'm going to say third round. That's kind of a stretch. But I feel like in the case where she's not going to get the submission as soon as the fight hit the mat. It's going to be a case where that's going to help her set up the finish probably in the third. Like, first round, probably going to struggle to get a takedown. Probably get her to the ground for a brief moment, control for a brief moment, try to ride her back a little bit in that first round. Rodriguez landed some good strikes early in that first round, or good through that first round. But Dern eventually able to get like some back control, like, a half takedown, back control, cage control. Second round, Rodriguez getting some good offense. Dern threatening to try and tie her up. Then later on the round, get her to the ground, probably control her for like 2 minutes of that round, but not 2 minutes or like a minute of that round. Not able to get the finish. The third round, able to drag a tired Rodriguez to the ground, then start to work, bust her up, then tap her out in that third round. So in this fight, I have Mackenzie Dern via third round submission. And that concludes my fight predictions for the full card of fights for UFC Fight Night, Dern versus Rodriguez. And as always, thanks for watching.